Happy New Year. This is the GTN Show, the first show of 2018.
It is, and we've got coming up some New Year's resolutions for you. We've got some dates for the diary for 2018 and also an exciting new contender for Kona.
And you may have put your race bike away at the end of the season and over the winter months and then opted for a road bike or a winter hack. So we're going to be discussing when you should get your race bike back out and ready for the next season.
Well, I know I've certainly enjoyed a nice break, Mark, but what have you been up to over Christmas?
I was also pretty lazy, if I'm going to be honest. So
Didn't look it from your Instagram.
Well, yeah, a day after Christmas, I was starting to feel a bit guilty for sitting around eating a lot of food. So, spare of the moment, I entered a race, quite a long race. It was half marathon over the Salisbury Plains, which is very hilly, very exposed and cold. But yeah, it was a good way to burn off those mince pies.
Cool.
And how about you? Did you do a park run, I saw?
Yeah, I did. I got festive, put my Christmas hat on and ran up, got muddy and enjoyed a bit of park run. And I love it that time of year because lots of people are back home and everyone's out and it's just, you know, quite a fun atmosphere. And it's very much about doing rather than racing, I think, for me over
awesome.
Christmas.
Well, we also asked you for our Christmas show whether you would be doing any exercise on Christmas Day, and we had 28% of you saying no way Jose, but a 71% of you said you would be.
Yeah, that's impressive. I would love to know if actually 71% of you might have had the intention, did you go and do it?
Yeah, and we actually had a few comments coming in as well. Mr. Cycle Guy said, I won't swim or run, but I will ride because I'm getting a new bike.
Very lucky, yeah.
Right for summer. And Danielle Fideli said, of course, a 15k run before the Christmas lunch is a classic for me.
It's a decent run
Earning
on Christmas
it,
Day. Oh, well, another impressive effort here if you actually got up to it. Jamie Meldrum planned to do 3.6k in the pool. Perfect for staying cool in steamy Singapore.
Well, that's all very well. But going into 2018, we like to make our New Year's resolutions. So, well, first of all, have you set any New Year's resolutions?
Yeah, I did, and I'm not like a massive person for doing that. I prefer to do goals, but like before Christmas and after Kona, I have got very lazy and sort of everything's gone a little bit like just kind of off the radar and I'm just chilled out and I have noticed I've started to pick up my running a little bit and I've just been getting quite tight and achy and it's because I'm not doing anything else with that. So my target is to do, it's quite a low goal to start with, but at least once a week to do some kind of strengthening, conditioning, core flexibility session. So it's kind of quite broad, but yoga, Pilates, foam roller, something like that once a week.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting. Well, I'm not going to lie, I've kind of enjoyed my break since I retired. And I probably maybe don't eat as well as I used to, all those things. So I'm just...
You're looking really fat, Mark.
So my resolution is that I'm just going to get back a bit fitter again. I'm going to do some races this year. I'm going to be healthier. Yeah, I mean, I've enjoyed the last 6 months, but time to get things going again.
Cool. Well, there are a few, it's not just us who've got our New Year's resolutions, I'm sure you guys have as well, but the pros have been announcing theirs on social media. LINSEY CORBIN has quite a big list here. She says, travel somewhere new. I mean, we'd love to do that. Hopefully we can with work. Better time management, read 12 books. Book a month, not a bad goal. Try not to be so critical and hard on yourself at the office. Start a business and learn something new. I mean, one of them's quite major in there.
Yeah. Just drop that one in there at the end, point number 5. Lionel Sanders has said, quit smoking. Just kidding. And then number 2, he said, turn the screens off for 2 hours before bed. He said he often has trouble sleeping, so he'd like to see if that would help. And then finally he said, shoot a par at his local 9-hole golf course. This will be the hardest goal to achieve yet.
Well, I think a lot of people can relate to number 2 on that, of just having a bit more time to chill out. I think as triathletes, we're great at analysing numbers and reading things and learning stuff, and sometimes
it's hard to switch off as well, isn't it? So that's great.
Yeah. Well, there's a few more. Here's another one. Tim Reed talking about he did actually keep to his 2017 New Year's resolutions. That's one thing which we don't do that much reflection on we're always like, right, let's look at what we're going to do. But sometimes you might not have even got anywhere near last year's resolutions. But his weren't based about improving performance as an athlete, more about relationships, parenting, and being a better person. It's easy to keep those sort of resolutions when you're starting from a low base. Modest.
And then one here from Fred Van Leerd, and he said his 2017 resolution was to take more chill time. So rather than being so intense about his racing and everything, he was just going to like kind of chill out a little bit. And in 2018, he said he's going to take it one step further. He's going to go old school. And
he's using the key word to just sort of instigate it, which is nice. I like these techniques.
Yeah, and he's basically just trying to keep things a bit more relaxed, not so complicated. But again, you know, that's all very well. You said with Tim Reed, has he actually, you know, completed his 2017 goals or New Year's resolutions? How do you go about keeping your resolutions?
Well, I mean, we've actually stolen a few of these from the pros as well, and I might need some tips because, yeah, I can't remember what my New Year's resolutions were last year. But Tim Reed again has said that he's going to base it around small habits, so doing little things at a time, similar to last year. And his tip is to shoot for small, sustainable changes rather than unrealistic life overhauls.
I think that's quite sensible. A lot of people go for these massive resolutions that are kind of just unachievable, and they're just never going to get. You're never going to get there with them. Matt Russell. A good tip to keep your New Year's resolution is to write down your goals. He buys a magnetic whiteboard and he pops it on his fridge, so he sees it every day and he's just constantly reminded. That's actually something I used to do as well. I used to like to write stuff on the board, whether it's maybe where I'm doing my bike workouts, and it's just something you're going to see all the time. It's a reminder, even if it's just like some core exercises, like it's there, you don't forget about it, you get it done.
Yeah, I might have to take some tips here. Laura Siddle has also said consistency is key. I mean, we all know that daily commitment is important. I'm going for weekly commitment on mine, I don't know if that counts, but schedule the activity for a specific time each day to actually formalise it. So yeah, then you can't, and that was my second one, which doesn't go very well with my first one. My second one is to try and procrastinate less. So I'm going to try not to be doing my core exercises Sunday evening when I realise I haven't done them that week.
Another method I've heard of is telling maybe your training partners or putting something out on social media, because then other people know and you feel like you can't fail then.
Mark, we've just told quite a few people. You're going to have to keep to it now. Well, we'd love to know what resolutions you might have and also any tips you've got on how to keep them. Personally, because I need a little bit of help, I think.
Hi, I'm Heather Wertel and you're watching the GTN Show.
We're going to talk now about road bikes versus tri bikes and when you ride them, because that's always quite a big topic. When do you ride your race bike and when do you ride your training bike? Because a lot of people, and I myself, would put my race bike away at the end of the season, get out my road bike, ride that over the winter months, but when do you get back on your TT bike?
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, I was riding with a friend over Christmas and on my road bike, and I've literally, my TT bike came out briefly for that shoot in Lanzarote, but it's been very much put away. And she was like, "Oh, I'm going to do a TT at the end of the month. Do you want to have a go? Like, do it with me?" I was like, I don't feel like it's time to get on my time trial bike yet. It feels too early. I mean, I don't know when I
guess the things that the reasons why you wouldn't ride the TT bike over the winter, it's an aggressive position. It's quite a solid and fast bike, isn't it? And then if you've got horrible conditions, the rain, you don't want to ruin that nice looking bike and its components. So that's why you get the road bike out. It's just a bit of more relaxed and comfortable ride.
But then if we go via that in the UK, we might never get to that.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like
very
at the
true.
moment.
So from my own personal experience, what I would do, January for me was like Jan-Feb time, that's when I'm going to get the TT bike back out. But like you say, the weather's probably not great to ride it, so I just keep it on the turbo. It's boring, but that's the only
keeps you safe and your bike safe.
Yeah, and you know, if you've got a goal in mind and you're trying to prepare fully, then you've kind of just got to do it. But if you are fortunate enough to get it out on the roads, then great.
Yeah. Well, again, we'd love to know, whether you've carried on your TT bike all winter or whether you're back to bring it out. It's New Year and you're feeling really motivated. Do let us know in the comments section below.
Okay, moving on to the CAPtion competition. And last week we had a photo of Yvonne van Vlerken doing a cartwheel over the finish line. So we had some great captions coming in.
We did. This one from Tam Snazzy Stuff. Guys, I truly am head over heels for triathlon, see?
I like that one. And we had one from SMG804 said, I wish I saved my arms on the swim. The run is killing me. That made me chuckle.
Well, our favourite, though, comes in from Greg Rosalimo. The faster recovery after a race, try elevating your legs.
Very good. Well, Greg, you are the winner of the GTN cap. Please get in touch over Facebook to claim your hat.
Yeah, and this week we have this picture from Shoot in Lanzarote when I was out there with Mark Buckingham.
Very synchronised. Love it.
We were trying. I think I could do with pointing my toe a little more.
Well, we'd love to hear your caption suggestions, so please drop them in the comments section below. And moving on, as we enter a new year, we've entered new events and we've got new goals, we might be looking for some motivation from some of our role models. So we've seen some of the pros out there training in 2018. Daniela Ryf, she's been cross-country skiing in Finland.
Yeah, right through the festive period, and if you can't get away from the cold weather, why not embrace it? It's one way to do it. Well, Ben Canute has been somewhere a little warmer by the looks of it, but getting first run session in of the year.
Very good. And something we're a little bit more familiar with. This is Alistair Brownlee training in the UK. Looks like the Yorkshire Dales.
Some no snow though.
Very nice. And finally, we have one here from Lucy Charles.
And if you're ever lacking any motivation, then why not just watch a bit of GTN?
Yeah.
Like a leaf out of Lucy's book.
She's got her own little GTN pain cave going on here. She's on the indoor trainer on a turbo with us on the screen.
Yeah, I must admit she was in the programme as well, so maybe she was watching a bit of herself. I personally wouldn't be motivated by watching me, but I'm glad to see that Lucy is.
Yeah, well, it's a great little mix there, really. Quite a difference between Lucy's training method to Daniela Ryf. Daniela Ryf's having a bit more fun on the cross-country skiing.
Yeah, and it's so early in the season, so it's really interesting to see that approach when it's going to be, Kona, for lots of these athletes, is their main goal, and that's what October seems miles away, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, great little insight into the pros and the different kinds of training methods.
Yeah. Well, talking of motivation and New Year's resolutions, we haven't actually seen any evidence of him training, but Javier Gomez, I'm sure, is, because he's announced that he's going to step it up to the full distance, the full Ironman distance this year. Yeah,
and he's not totally written off his short distance career. He's still focused on Tokyo 2020, but 70.3 world champion. He is successful at the longer distances, and he's going to step it up again, which is really exciting.
Yeah, and he said that, he feels like he wants that challenge, but it's, for him, he wants to learn or work out how to do it by racing, and that's how he's going to learn. Apparently, he's saying in his first half, he just took 2 gels, which
I actually, weirdly, I did his first half with him. It was in Spain, and he ripped it up. He did very well. I was on the bike with him, and he just went and on 2 gels. I think I took about 6 gels. So goes to show how good he is. Yeah. But he like with a lot of the Ironman world champions out there, they've said they've had to do the world championships a few times before they've actually nailed it. So be interested to see how he gets on. He could go and rip it up again.
Well, yeah, very exciting to watch, and that will, we've debated as well before, who are the best athletes, and if he can cover that whole spectrum, then that will really put him up there.
Yeah, absolutely phenomenal. We're talking about Ironman World Champs. We have the Kona points ranking system for the professional athletes. So it's not necessarily relevant to a lot of our viewers, but it will be in terms of what they watch in the pro racing. So Ironman have announced that they are changing their KPR points ranking system for 2019. So that basically it changes how the athletes qualify to go to the World Champs.
Yes, I mean, you often see athletes just heading all around the world, and one athlete actually we did pro bike with, Harry Wiltshire. He very much does that, doesn't he? And this year he had to do a lot of races to get to Kona, and still had a great performance when he got there. But it's now going to be about winning, or some of the bigger races they're going to make the top 3, I think. But it's very much more about placings rather than
very similar in a way to the age group qualification process, where there's a certain number of slots. For the pro races, it will literally be first place, maybe second place in a couple of races, and those guys get slots to the World Champs rather than just accumulating points over the years, over sort of 5 races. So it could really change the calibre of athlete potentially that we have at the World Champs. You never know. I think personally, from my own experience of trying to do it myself, my only gripe with it is that for an athlete that maybe doesn't have the funds to travel around the world, you're limited to, perhaps for myself, I might have been limited to Europe. And there's some tough competitors out there. So if you don't have the funds to go further afield, you're stuck against some very good athletes and possibly never get to go to the World Champs.
That was still, even chasing points in Europe would be harder than chasing points maybe somewhere else. So in that sense, how much has changed?
Well, yeah, that is true, but then at least you might be able to get a number of
back-to-back, or
top 5 or top 10 and accumulate those points to get to the World Champs rather than having to fly to Thailand to get. Yeah, anyway.
Well, it'll be interesting to see, but it doesn't come in until 2019. On to the weekly poll. In our Christmas show, we asked you whether Mark caught the bike or not. Now, I've not actually seen this, so I don't know, but 83% of you reckon Mark didn't catch the bike. 16% of you thought he did.
Wow.
You going to reveal it, Mark?
I think you should just watch and see. Yeah, that's
ouch.
Pretty painful, yeah. I wasn't proud.
You've got to work on your sprints, Mark, I think.
Yeah, I wasn't proud of that moment, I've got to be honest. Well, as we move into 2018, a lot of us like to maybe focus on our weaknesses and try and make improvements in our race or triathlon events. So we wondered, which discipline will you be focusing on for 2018? Swim, bike, run, and we thought we'd give you an extra option of other because, I don't know, you might be wanting to do a bit of gym work or transitions. So if you want to enter that poll, you can do so by clicking on the link above Heather's head.
And if it is other, just leave those in the comment section below. Comments of the week, and there have been a few that have caught our eye over the festive period, including a couple from the video on how to increase your power on the bike.
Ethan Toth, he said, lowering body weight is a lot cheaper than lowering bike weight.
It is, yeah.
But maybe a bit harder.
Sadly, it is much harder, I think.
Yeah. Well, here's another one here from Daniel Pinero. He said, if you want to increase power, wear Heather's sunglasses. Sure, you have to put extra watts in to move that.
That's where I'm going wrong. All I need to do is take those glasses off.
No comment, Heather. No comment.
If only it were that simple. But, yeah. And there's a few other comments that I noticed on the video when I did my pro bike with my Cervelo P2. Now, I do sometimes get a little bit confused with my measuring units.
No.
and a few of you
miles, kilometres.
Yeah, some of you might have picked up actually in the Kona preview. I did talk about an Ironman being 3.8 miles in the swim.
There's a 100-yard swim across and then straight back again. All in all, that's 3.8 miles.
It's a long way.
Yeah, it's a long way. Luckily, it's not. And anyway, I do ride a 51 centimetre frame, but I kind of said 51 inches, and a few of you caught me out on this. Young Kim said,
like the size of this TV.
51-inch frame, not a 51 centimetre frame, question mark, and someone else, 51. Joe's Cycling Reviews, 51-inch frame with a sort of winky smiley face. Yeah, I don't actually know how big 51 inches is, but it's not my bike.
It's like that, Heather. Ride that TV.
I'm really not that tall.
Now moving on to the GTN Tribe, where we place your triathlon club on our GTN map. And this week we have the Sharks Triathlon Club, sent in by Ian Buck-Barrett, and they're from Brisbane, Australia.
Yeah, it's going to be our first club in Australia, which is quite exciting. It's nice to go somewhere warmer down under at this time of year. Now they've got around 160 members, so a decent sized club. And Ian, who sent this in, says they have abilities ranging from old plodders like himself. I mean, we're not labelling you Ian, but you've put yourself out there, through to the current 16 to 19-year-old age group world champion.
That's very impressive. Well, they do say that they are very much a family and friendly club, but they do argue that this Brisbane is the best area in the world to train. Yeah, but they say they do have to put arm warmers on in the winter on the bike. But I have noticed they're in wetsuits in this photo, so.
Yeah, maybe they found a really cold lake to swim in, I don't know.
But yeah, looking through some of their photos, it looks like a really fun club. They've got a lot of kids in their club. They see obviously a very good youth and junior.
I've just noticed their little club motto thing. That's quite cool. I thought it was like a Mo Farah upside down, but no, it's a shark thing.
Very
I like
cool.
it.
Yeah, it's a great club, really nice youth and junior section. We'd love to keep seeing your clubs for the GTN Tribe, so send them in over Facebook or over Twitter using the hashtag GTN Tribe.
It's time for the GTN Pain Cave, and we've picked out a few of our favourites this week. And I must admit, I love this one. From Jodie Alexander Williams, training with my little man.
This is awesome as well. So he's got his kid's bike propped up somehow on some sort of board.
Yeah, the stabilisers are on the board.
So it's lifting his back wheel up.
No resistance, mind you, but...
Yeah, but wow, it's great. You know, you do your turbo whilst chatting to your kid. Brilliant.
That is very cool.
Yeah, so it looks like he's got a little Zwift setup going on in front of him. He's on his Wahoo kicker. Yeah. Fantastic.
And the fact that his kid actually has a top that is swim, bike, run and a visor on, he is going to be a good triathlete.
Budding triathlete there. Awesome. Okay, here's one from Steve Marsh. And, wow, this is quite a nice pain cave. He's got his Wahoo Snap set up with Apple TV, Zwift, and he says he's also powered by SIS products from his handy little shelf on the side. Yeah, this is awesome.
It's very comprehensive and very organised.
Yeah, he's got all the medals on the wall. He's obviously a big fan of the Trocker caps. Yeah, wicked.
And the fan placed under the table. It's just very tidy.
Very nice.
I like it.
Okay, and moving on, here is one from Andy Raymond, sent in over Facebook, and this is cool, isn't it?
Yeah, I like the supporter he's got there. We've had the kid in the first one, now we've got the sheepdog.
Yeah. He's got a really cool little system for hanging his bike from and all his kit, his running shoes. Quite like that. Maybe use that myself. And then, yeah, he's got his med balls in there.
And as we're talking about motivation and planning ahead for the year, that's one way to do it. Put your calendar in front of you. So when you're on the turbo, you then know what you're working towards.
That is exactly what I used to do. Sort of have like a whiteboard there in my sort of training room. So yeah, you sort of see it all the time. And being a little bit nosy, I see he's off to Lanzarote as well.
A holiday, not a training camp. I wonder.
Well, Lanzarote for a holiday, eh? Well, yeah, we love them. Keep sending them in using the hashtag GTN Pain Cave over Twitter or send them in over Facebook.
Well, that's a wrap for our first show of the year, and we want to just say good luck for your season that's upcoming, and hopefully we'll get to see you at some of the races.
Yeah, and if you haven't done so already, you can subscribe to GTN for free by clicking on the globe. And if you've enjoyed the show, hit the thumbs up button. And to see our 2017 records video, you can just see that by clicking here.
And if you want some tips on some strength and conditioning training, then watch this video here.